Mr. Wesley Cannon. Hold on, let's redo that. I kind of slurred your name there.
That's a record.
Mr. Wesley Cannon, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Max. How are you? This might be a record for how early we've recorded.
Yeah. I took the morning off to do some errands, and I'm surprised you're awake at this point. I thought you just went to bed, honestly.
Yeah, I woke up just before 10. I mean, I guess being in Arizona for granted they are earlier, so it's not a time zone thing, but I was in Arizona for the MSPT, and their day one and day two all started at 10:15. And I was waking up on time for the hotel breakfast where I was at.
What's their time zone again in Arizona?
So right now it's an hour earlier, but they don't do daylight savings. So when we spring ahead, they stay the same. So then
It's the same.
then it's a 2 hour difference.
Oh, it's a 2 hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I think Arizona and Indiana are the two states that are weird like
So
that.
you were 2 hours difference from us when you were there?
1 hour.
Just
1
1
hour.
hour. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Like
It's all right. It's all right.
It's nothing, not out of the ordinary, to say the least.
Yeah, you've been a tad discombobulated in the few minutes we've been.
It's been a morning, to say the
Yeah.
least. I'm still a lot of real estate stuff and all that stuff. But anyways, so getting back on topic, you went to the Arizona, was it the state championship? Is that what we want to call it?
No, I think that's technically in August. I think that's the non-MSPT one.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But yeah, it was like the Diamond State Championship.
The Diamond Major, I think, is what they call it now, right? Like the four majors
anyways,
or something.
super large MSPT.
And you won it for 400 and some thousand?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, right? I won it in spirit.
You cashed, I think you bagged 5 bigs or something?
Yeah, I bagged 43K coming back to 8, so just over 5 bigs.
How demoralizing was that?
It wasn't the worst. I mean, so here's what happened. I was on my 5th bullet. It was only the second day one. I was on the 5th bullet. I was actually down to 15K at 4K big blind. I managed to spin it up a bit.
Yeah. I mean, to find a cash off that when you're not even expecting to cash is a W for sure.
Yeah, and I had 15 bigs. I had like 180, and it was just once we were close to the bubble, I just got dealt crap, and I locked up the cash. And actually, I was able. Well, they have MSPT has changed it now, where you have the option to fire again after you bagged without forfeiting the bag.
Mm-hmm.
And if you bag twice, you take your best stack forward, and your other one you get paid out of min cash. So it's not. If you have a really short stack, I think it's not.
How do we feel about that? I mean, it seems really nice, especially for your situation, where you bag 40K and you still want to try and get a better bag. Especially when you're traveling out of state, I think those kind of things can be beneficial. But is there any negatives to being able to do that?
I mean, I think it falls into the same bucket as firing unlimited bullets, where if you're someone who just has infinite buy-ins, you will have so much better chance to bag a big stack.
That makes sense.
And then I think it's not usually plus EV to do unless you're like, if you're a winning player, it's still not plus EV unless you're super short. Because like, if you're think about it this way, if you bag 150, below average stack, but you not only do you have to bag again, but you have to bag more than 150 to make it worth it. And even best case scenario, let's say you bag a big stack.
Would you get both cashes?
Yeah, the other one is a min cash, but it's still like the 150 you had was probably worth, I don't know, $6,000 or something, and now it's worth $2,000, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're the upside on it is capped. I don't recommend it unless you're super short.
Yeah.
Um, but I think obviously as a business for them, it's like more
It helps
buy-ins
the
and
bottom line. Yeah.
yeah.
More juice in their pocket. So what, tell me about it. Like, was it bigger than Firekeepers? How was the
Yes, we
atmosphere?
got 3,220 entries, I think was the final tally.
And that's bigger than
Um,
what Firekeepers usually gets. I know it's Firekeepers is
yeah, I think
somewhere around there, right?
Firekeepers had one that broke 3,000, but I think this one actually was the biggest apart from Vegas. And I think you were actually at the final table of one of the Vegas
Yeah, I
ones.
did. Yeah, I think that one had it was a 3 mil guaranteed. I mean, this was
Yeah,
2018 or something. No, this is 8 years ago now. That's crazy. What the hell?
yeah.
Where's the time go? You were just in diapers, but
I was in diapers, yeah. I
does that get old ever?
no,
No,
but
no,
you
no.
do.
That was good, Wes.
Thank you.
Props for that.
Feeling
Props.
feeling witty.
Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, it was a great tournament. I will say, like, the only negative was it's I have to hop on a plane to get there, and the even if you get the tournament rate at the Talking Stick Hotel, it's expensive, but if you don't, it's like a grand a night, so I obviously didn't stay there,
oh, I
and the
was gonna
hotels
say, I
around
feel
there.
like you somehow botched the getting the rate, the poker rate too, if you were able to. Just because you know what
Yeah, I
happened at
mean, you have
Running
to do that
Aces
so
during the
far in
fish fry.
advance. That one I very much botched. That one I it was like I had pocket aces and accidentally said fold or
Yeah,
something.
you clicked
But,
full.
um,
Should we talk about the fish fry a little bit? Or did you have one?
yeah, in a sec, yeah. I mean, I will certainly be back to Arizona. First off, like, it's just nice being in that weather. When I flew out of here, it was -3 degrees, and then being in 70, 80-degree weather is pleasant.
Oh man.
The poker room, awesome. They have a ton of tables. I mean, there were no wait lists. There were no,
Is it in a
they some
convention center?
no, it's in their poker room, and their poker room is just massive.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. Um, so really cool place.
I mean,
So
to
I'll
be
be
able to facilitate that many players, I mean, there's over 1,000 players in a flight in one poker room without it being like a convention center is pretty impressive.
yeah, and first place, I think first and second ended up chopping, but, like, first place initially was $464,000. That is
Off 11
massive.
hundo. Yeah, we
Yeah,
love that.
that is massive.
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited to give it a go. Hopefully next year, maybe, depending.
yeah.
But yeah, obviously, as most of our listeners know, I'm kind of on the back burner right now, just staying home,
Yeah.
waiting for my son to come along here. Could be any day, so we're
Yeah,
just
any day.
waiting patiently. But what we should talk about before we get into our topic of overbetting, um, and when to overbet, but is the Suited Kings Fish Fry tournament at Running Aces a couple weeks back. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it because we had Zach on last week. And
Mhm.
we hope you guys enjoyed that episode. It was a really cool episode. Zach is, it's motivating to hear him speak and talk about all these health topics just because I could use a little bit of work in that area on myself.
For sure. I mean, I think we all could. I'm sure, about you're about to be a dad, like, you're gonna be exhausted a bunch, I'm sure, and
I already
it's
am. Like,
you already are,
I
but
mean, yeah. I had to get checked out of the group home before, or the senior facility,
yeah, the
just to
nursing
make
home,
this
yep,
podcast.
I know. It's
Um,
funny because I make fun of you for being a lot older than me, but you're still in your 30s and you really don't look old, so
Thanks, Wes.
whatever.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Uh, the fish fry. So, jumping to that, I mean, first off, I just want to give a big shout out to everybody who came out and played with us. It was an extremely good slash fun time. I got a bunch of West Bucks in the time no limit cash games.
You actually
Um,
did.
but it was glorious. But just to kind of start off the weekend, we had the $300 tournament that started off, and we actually met our expectation. We had 131 entries, I believe, for the first day.
Something like
With first place of over 9,000 bucks up top. That was awesome. I actually did final table that event. I think I got seventh or something like that. Three of us had over 100 big blinds at that final table.
I was impressed with the structure. Like, I knew it was a better structure than your normal daily, but the way it played out, yeah, it was very deep
It
late
was super
into it.
deep. I was loving that, and we're gonna do that again.
Mhm.
Whether it's this fall or whenever next is, we haven't got that planned yet, but definitely the structure is just incredible. It's juicy, almost 10K up top on the first flight. Then moving on to Saturday, where we had another $300 tournament. That one got 151 entries with 10K up top. Um, and yeah, and we actually ended up giving away a uh, a suited Kings champion hoodie to the winner of that, which actually just got shipped out, Wes.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Um, and then let's see here. We had a $150 tournament that night, which Wes and I both promptly, but actually you cashed it, didn't you?
I did. Well, it we'll talk about my performance on the weekend in a sec here, because that was there were some funny things that happened.
How about
So the
you
first
just first three betting me firsthand sitting down at the time no limit game?
that too, yeah. Well,
Didn't
first
work
off,
out for you, but
the first tournament, I mean, the first 300, I sit down, I just go on a heater. Like, I'm running this thing over. I I think was starting 25 or 30, I don't remember. I think
25.
25.
Yep.
I had within 2 levels, I had almost 100K. By the end of late reg, I had 160K, and I was like, "Oh, I'm max." I was like, "This is when it's gonna happen," because you had piles too,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Max and I are gonna both final table our own event,
One and
and it's
two,
gonna be
baby.
epic."
Yeah, yeah.
I went a little card dead, things happened. There were 17 left, 15 paid. I jammed small blind with ace 7, got looked up by ace deuce of diamonds. As the flop is coming out, we hear that there's a bust out at the other table,
So
so we're
now
on
we're
the
on the
stone bubble.
stone bubble. Yeah.
Unfortunately, my opponent flops a flush draw, turns a flush. I'm obviously drawing dead, and I stone bubbled the first ever suited kings live tournament.
Good run.
That
Good
was
run.
pretty, I mean, it was honestly funny. Like, I think it made for a good story, but yeah, that was a little
If you guys
annoying.
haven't yet, go check out our Twitter, where there's a lovely picture of Wes promptly right after busting the tournament with a
Looking
beer
at
in hand.
slightly displeased.
Yes, very, very.
Yeah.
It was just a good time overall. I mean, we gave away so many hoodies. Tilted Compass came and hung out with us, partied with us. We sold a ton of hoodies. We gave a bunch away. Uh, and the environment or the atmosphere, the environment, all of it was just everybody was having a good time. It was a lot of fun. I might have lost a couple of friends slash fans just because I was trying to punt off to people, especially on the first
And then
day,
you
and the
were
chips just
getting
kind of
there.
kept gravitating my way. So
Yeah.
um, we had bounties. We put bounties on each other, and I was trying to make it easy for people to get them, but
Yeah.
alas, we built a stack instead. So um, yeah, it was just a good time, and I can't wait to do that again. Should we talk about some overbetting?
Oh, we should, but we didn't finish my performance. I mean,
Oh, okay.
we I when we played the cash game together, I did blind 3-bet you the first time you opened. I think I ended up having king 5 off.
It's a good three bet
Lost
hand.
that pot. Had another bad pot against two hands against you that were actually pretty hilarious, and one
Yeah.
of them I kind of butchered, and the other one we both just went for it, and you ended up making a pair, and by the way you min bet river, I knew you were gonna call a raise, and I had the nut low,
Yeah.
so I couldn't do anything but fold to the
I
min bet,
literally
but
just bet one big blind, I'm pretty sure, and you
after
just
check raising,
yeah.
flop, and betting turn, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the cash game didn't go super well for me, the next 300 didn't go great, and then the 150 at night, I was doing pretty well, then I ran into it blind versus blind on the bubble, and then suddenly I had 2.5 bigs. I thought I was gonna bubble
The
2 out of
double
the
stone,
3,
yeah, the double stone bubble,
the double bubble.
the double
Um,
bubble.
I ended up min cashing one. I lost a flip one hand after. So yeah, I did stone min cash that.
Hey,
I think it's
that's
my smallest live cash in about I don't know how
what was
long.
it for? Like 280 or something?
255, I think, was the
255.
total. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it was a fun. I mean, I'm appreciated all you that came out. It was fun, and like Max said, we are certainly going to do that again.
Yeah, very thankful for you guys for making this event a success. It was, yeah, for anyone who's there, everybody said they had a great time. Running Aces said that, even they had a great time and that they were very happy with the turnout, so that they would gladly let us back again. Um, and maybe what I would like to do is because for anyone who's from Minnesota will know this, but everyone else may not. There's two nice local card rooms. There's Canterbury and there's Running Aces. I love both of the card rooms. People are usually one or the other. For me personally, I love them both. So I would love to have one in the spring at like Running Aces, and then maybe another one in the fall at Canterbury, and do that every year. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it'd be awesome if we could do that.
Something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
And if it's just at Running Aces, that's fine with me too, because that's kind of my home casino. It's where I grew up playing most of the time. But
There you go.
yeah, yeah. I have a fun hand that I want to run by and discuss. It was a hand where I did some overbetting, Wes, and I want
Yeah.
to know if you think it was a good time to overbet, a bad time to overbet, and why I overbet. And should we start with that, or should we just kind of talk about overbetting? Because you and I were chatting a little bit before we started recording on when and why we should overbet, and I think maybe it's a good time for you to just kind of reiterate that.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit because I remember the hand. You showed it to me, and I think it has some good properties, and we'll kind of talk about why. So we'll talk just some quick theory here, and I actually have like an example of a spot that would be kind of perfect for overbetting, and we'll kind of say why. So, um, there are a couple reasons to overbet from a theory standpoint. Obviously, exploit, we can talk about that in a bit as well. Um, the two reasons are one, if we're like on the flop or sometimes the turn, there sometimes we have a very strong hand, but we don't think we'll be able to get three streets because of we'll say like on a flop of 10-8-5, we have pocket jacks. That might be a time to do it, or 10-9-5. Where there's overcards, there's stuff, the board changes. It's not going to be like a super strong hand on most runouts, but it's a very strong hand now. Like that's a good reason to overbet for value, and then we want to work in some bluffs as well.
I think those kind of times work really well in the fields that most of us play too, where people are oftentimes overcalling.
Especially when like early on a day one or
Yeah,
something
when
where
we're
you're
hundreds of bigs deep. Yeah,
where
100%.
people aren't really looking at the size of the pot as much. Maybe even an overbet still feels relatively small in terms of their stack.
I do a lot of overbetting early in tournaments just because it's a great way to get value. I mean, most of the
Yeah.
time it's for value. So just remember that, guys.
And so one thing when we want to overbet, and this is always consistent, is we want our opponent to be capped based on the action leading up to it. So we want it to be a situation where they are not really going to be able to have the nuts, but we can. So us being uncapped and then being capped is a great reason to overbet. And this especially is true like on the river. This is kind of the main reason on the river why we would want to do it. And I'm going to give some quick like flop examples. Flops are difficult from a theory standpoint because there's some very different ones that we want to overbet. Like um we'll say like button versus big blind. Flop is 10-9-5 rainbow. That's when we can do some overbetting. But so is ace king 6 rainbow. And they're very different type of boards, but like 10-9-5 is more of one where we'll have hands that want to get money in now but might not be able to on future streets. Ace king 6 rainbow is much more of one where we're uncapped, but our opponent is capped because they
Can,
didn't three bet. They don't have aces, kings, or ace king.
exactly. Yeah. So
Um,
right. That exactly. So or they're capped because if they didn't three bet pre, which we can then all of a sudden remove top two pair like ace king out of the range. Essentially, what you just said.
yep. Yeah. And so it's sort of complicated. I mean, we're not going to learn perfect theory here today, but that's kind of the general idea. And then a quick example of a hand. So I ran this through the solvers to make sure, but it was in a cash game. We're cut off first big blind. We open, they call. We get the 10-8-5 rainbow flop. They check, we bet big, they call. Turn is a king, bringing a flush draw, so it's 10-8-5 king. They check. We can do some overbetting here. And now part of it is like we can have pocket kings, pocket tens. They would have three bet those. And it's also a situation where there aren't a ton of they're still not going to have a ton of two pair. Like, sure, they'll have some suited stuff, but they're going to fold most of the offsuit two pair. And I guess, we use these terms like uncapped, and I think there's probably a decent amount of you out there that are like turned off, but it sounds like nerdy or whatever it is, like two solver language. But basically, the way
I
to
feel like
think
anyone
about it
who's
is,
listening to us wants to hear that kind of stuff. I mean, we're here,
I
they're here to learn.
I agree. But the other way to think about it is like on this board, when they did not check raise on the flop, the vast majority of their strongest hands are
One
like a
pair.
10
Yeah.
or maybe a king queen that floated, but like a ton of one pair and then straight draws. So when we overbet, it sucks for pretty much any hand they're going to have. So 10-8-5 king, and then we'll say a jack river that does not bring in the flush draw. So ace queen is the nuts, queen nine suited is second nuts, and then 9-7 suited is there for the other straight too. They check, and we can overbet either like a 150% pot or just jam for a ton of money. And it's now we only want to do that for value if we have the straight or maybe like pocket kings or tens. And the idea is obviously like we want to get called when we have those hands, but the other idea is when we are bluffing, they are so rarely going to have something like ace queen. They could have the queen nine suited if it's of the suit where they turn to flush draw, but that's like one combo, so they're mainly their best hands are maybe a set that trapped, but even some of that is check raising, right? Like
Yep.
a lot of their range is like a pair and a flush draw or ace 10 or a floated king queen. And when we overbet jam in this spot, even a hand like king 10 is going to do a lot of folding for
Really?
that. Like two pair.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna fold a decent amount of their two pair. Like
Okay.
they have to fold a ton of stuff. And so
Good luck trying to
it's just
get people in these these, 300 to $1,100 fields getting to fold two pairs seems impossible, but
yeah, so it's sort of like that's where the exploit side comes in.
yeah, exactly. So we just
But
kind of, yeah.
yeah. So one thing, the last thing from the theory perspective is you might be like, okay, well, if they're folding two pair a decent amount, I think then why are we overbet jamming? And it's like, well, the point is when they call, we win way more money than we would by betting like three quarters.
Right.
So, but what you said is right. Like we want to take this info and then think, okay, what about the actual situation we're in? And if you, for example, feel like people aren't going to fold two pair, then you should just never bluff this spot with an overbet,
Yeah.
until they figure out what you're doing. But like the exploit is just to only do this for value and maybe even go a little wider for value.
And to be honest with you, a lot of these people aren't seeing enough of this to try and to know if we're balancing or not.
100%, 100%. Um,
So
and
people are like,
then
"Well, why would you do that if you're not doing it with your bluffs too?" And it's like you don't understand. Like we're not playing in these small fields where first off people see us play over and over, so they kind of can get the idea of what we're doing when we're doing it. But a lot of these players just aren't that good to where they even notice that we're not balanced.
yeah, and hey, let's say someone sees you show down the nuts with this line, and someone you believe for whatever reason now they are overfolding when you overbet jam the river. like, because they picked that up on you. Well, now against them, you should not do that for value, but you should overbet jam as a bluff on them, and you'll get way more folds than you're supposed to. So, the exploit is kind of, as we would say, it's like player dependent. If you think they're going to go one way too much, then you make the play that takes advantage of that.
By the way,
Um,
I just want to take a second here for a little comic relief. As I'm sitting here looking at you, Wes, you know, it says our names in the corner of our videos. Mine, naturally says Max Havlish. Well, my friends, Wes's name does not say Wes. It reads God of Poker.
yeah, I don't know why Zoom did that today. It must be really proud of me for, well, not this last month because I didn't have a good January, but maybe some of the runs to end the year. Maybe it's, because
Well,
I certainly didn't type that in. I'll tell you
speaking of
that much.
God of Poker, I highly recommend people go check out Michael Adamo's YouTube clips where he does a lot of overbetting in a lot of spots. Like he does that a lot.
Yeah. I think Adamo, because right when I started playing full time, Michael Adamo, that was during his absolute tear he was on. He actually inspired a decent amount of stuff. Like I think the stream I've watched the most of was the Super High Roller Bowl from that year,
Yep.
where he ended up winning. Is Bonomo got second. I think Sean Winter got third. Chris Brewer bubbled, $1 million bubble in absolute disgusting fashion. I think he had two of them within a few months.
Yeah, and the super
Just
high roller bowls, that's got to
yeah.
be
I mean,
defeating.
you could see it in his soul.
Dude, I will say he did recover from that quite
He
nicely.
did. Yeah.
Won
Good for him.
bracelets, won some other high rollers. So
Yeah. Two bracelets.
a couple bracelets, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's go over this hand, Wes.
Let's do it. So
Um,
this is online. You were playing actually against one of our listeners.
I was Mr. Taylor Moss, aka Ginch, on probably most sites. Sorry, Ginch, for
Yeah.
giving away
Jinch
your.
in our Discord too.
Yeah, yep. Goes by Jinch, Jainch. He's an absolute killer. He's one of the Rec Poker Squad guys. He's a strong player. He's a great player and a great dude. So this is for those who do not play online and are not familiar with global poker. They run series. This one's called the Grizzly Series, and during these series you can actually win trophies. So in this one you win this like massive like Grizzly trophy. It's pretty sick. We are two. This is a six max, so it's the 99 buy-in, 20,000 guaranteed rebuy six max. So essentially what that means is you can buy in as many times as you want for 99, I believe. And then after registration's done, you can add on for 90. So it's like juice free add on.
Mhm.
We are way past all of that. Let's see, for two from the final table, there's eight left. That can't be right because there's five at this table, right? It can't be
It
five.
could be nine or 10 left.
I swear I put two from final table, but maybe.
Could be
Oh,
two tables away
I
from
just put
final.
I just put final table soft bubble, so it probably
Okay.
probably roughly nine players left here. Um, okay, so starting the action off, Jinch is on the button with 41 and a half bigs, and I'm in the big blind with 40 and a half bigs. So we're both relatively deep. I would say we're probably both top five in stacks here.
Mhm.
And we call with the King of Hearts and Nine of Diamonds. So this is where I think blockers have a lot to do with this, why we ended up overbetting this spot. So at least that's what my thought was in real time. So I end up defending the King of Hearts, Nine of Diamonds, and the flop is Jack of Hearts, Ace of Diamonds, Nine of Hearts. So we flop bottom pair, uh, backdoor flush draw, and backdoor straight draw. Seems
Cool.
pretty.
And pot is 5 big blinds right now.
Pot is exactly five bigs. We check and he sizes up. He goes over half. He goes 2.9 bigs into five bigs. Um, is this a spot where he could overbet?
It doesn't strike me that way. So here's my initial thought is he doesn't need to bet big because you can be defending with like a couple undercards.
Just
You know,
auto
you can
folds.
Yeah, you do have some auto folds. I can see wanting to bet big because it's a draw heavy board. So I could see him wanting to charge your draws. Or if he has a draw, he's trying to put pressure on more than just your auto folds. Maybe like if you have king queen, if you have a
My
weak
specific
nine.
hand, yeah. I mean, my
Yeah,
specific hand, pretty much.
yeah, it already gets a little bit uncomfortable.
It does for sure. But I think it's still too early to fold this hand at this
I agree.
point.
I
So
agree.
we make the call and we get a lovely turn. It's the Queen of Hearts. So just to kind of remind you of the board, it's Jack of Hearts, Ace of Diamonds, Nine of Hearts, Queen of Hearts. So now we got bottom pair with a straight flush draw.
Hmm.
Um, we land on check with 10.8 bigs in the middle and he checks back. What do we think about his check back here? I feel like I mean, even his two pairs are checking back here. You think a lot?
Maybe. I think he should bet small with some of those.
Okay.
I don't know though. Like
It's. I mean,
he
that's like a tough spot for a lot of hands there.
yeah, I could see him checking back a decent amount of that because if he bets smaller, like it sucks so much to get check raised in this spot. You guys have identical stacks.
Yeah,
Um,
we're right at the final table bubble. It's like ICM is starting to play a factor here.
I guess to be fair, 10-8, king 10, and hearts all get there.
That's what I mean, right?
So even if he has ace queen, like it just makes sense to check, I think.
That's kind of
Um,
what I was thinking as well. Like,
yeah.
yeah. So I check and he checks back. Now the turn or the river brings another jack, the jack of diamonds. So now the board pairs. Um, we have a very shitty two pair. We got we got jacks and nines with an ace kicker essentially is our actual hand.
Mhm.
But we have this lovely, lovely little king of hearts in our hand. Now, you were about
Yeah.
to say?
Oh yeah, like I think it's preferable to have the heart. Part of me feels like practically it doesn't matter a ton because if he actually had a flush, he would probably bet turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So blocking it isn't as big of a deal. Same with blocking straight, but like it's still better to have than like
Yeah.
the seven of
Well,
spades or
and,
something.
and so now I'm sitting here thinking it's button versus big blind. His button range can just consist a lot of just ace X's like that are not
Mhm.
two pairs, just like say ace deuce through ace eight, whatever, suited, unsuited, etc. He can be opening all of those. Agree?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Now he could also have hands like king queen, queen 10, um, queen 8 suited, I guess. I don't know. Maybe queen 8 suited is a stretch. But anyways, hands that have top pair or second pair, right? That are beating
Mhm.
us now. That on a board this dangerous. So my range can still consist of a ton of jacks. Going just
Yep.
calling flop, checking turn, and it goes check, check, turn, and then we're on the river where I could easily, um, have that. I do have the nine in my hand. I would say that that is maybe somewhat irrelevant. Maybe correct me here, but we shouldn't have too many boats here because I would have probably be check raising the flop
I
a lot. Or
Here's
I
the
would be
thing.
three betting too, maybe. No,
Yeah, you could for sure have Jack nine. I guess here's the thing though. What I like about the nine is it blocks his boats. So
yeah,
like
right, right,
we
right.
just said he's gonna check back some two pair on the turn, maybe sets as well. So like having a pair on the board is nice because it reduces okay, so let's say he bet large on the flop.
Yep.
We think that could be some draws, some pretty good value. Like I don't think he's going to do that with a hand like queen jack maybe or queens because it's sort of medium strength on this
Yeah,
board.
yep.
I do think hands like aces, ace jack, jacks, nines, jack nine, ace nine, all of that. So like blocking pocket nines and jack nine, I think is really nice.
It removes a lot of his. Okay, that makes
Yep.
sense.
So
Yes. Okay.
I think
So
both of your cards are like pretty good blockers, and you probably technically have some showdown value, but it's close enough where like you're almost always beat here.
I feel like because of his flop sizing, I'm putting him on just a lot of ace X and then
Mhm.
potentially some sort of queen X where he flopped a draw of some sort and then turned a pair and is trying to get to showdown. And for
Yep.
that reason, I decided that this would be a great spot to just apply as much pressure as I can to those one pair hands. So
Yeah.
into 10.8, I end up betting. What did I bet here? How do I? There it is. I bet into 10.8. I bet 12.1. Now this is where I'm curious on your take. Um, how do we feel about this overbet sizing? Should
Truthfully,
I?
I don't know about I like the overbet. I don't know what the supposed optimal sizing here would
Right,
be.
right. Me neither.
But I think this is good enough to fold out an ace or a queen. And in terms of what we've talked about in principles, it's like, well, I guess he's technically not capped because he could have some aces or ace jack. Um, but he is capped-ish in the sense we can have straights or flushes, and even we can have a few boats. We can have queen jack, maybe a jack nine that's just called.
Yep.
But we can have flushes and
Queen Jack
straights,
is
and
probably our primary boat here.
yeah, and he really can't have any flushes or straights. So like his range is going to be a few really strong hands, and then the vast majority is going to be, like you said, ace X or a king queen queen 10, um, and all of that. It feels like whether or not it literally has to fold is maybe not true, but it feels like it has to fold in this spot.
Yeah, and on top of that, like where we're at in the tournament plays a big role of this. Like we're approaching the final table. He doesn't want to, potentially call this bet, give me a pile of chips, and then be short as we approach the actual bubble of the final table.
Mhm.
So we end up betting 12.1 into 10.8. He tanks, gets through probably most of his time bank, and ends up folding. And now, since we
Get
know
wrecked, buddy.
get wrecked, Ginch. I'm just kidding. But since we know each other, he actually reached out to me via Discord and asked me what I had that hand, maybe the next day or something like that. So we talked about it. We talked about a little bit of the strategy of the hand and what we were thinking. Um, and I told him what I had, and I asked him what he had, and he did. He was kind enough to share, and so we ended up we did make a great bluff here. He told me he had the ace 10 of clubs.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, and his hand is purely. I mean, you guys were like, well, how can you just fold that? Well, on this specific board, let's remind you, it's Jack of Hearts, Ace of Diamonds, Nine of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds. Ace 10 of Clubs is a pure bluff catcher. I'm not over betting with just like a worse ace here.
Yeah, so it's I mean, any ace is really
And we're
gonna chop.
chopping. Yeah, and we're chopping
Yeah.
exactly.
But, like, yeah, you're never over betting with an ace here.
Yeah.
You are
I'm just trying
whether
to get to
you're just
showdown.
checking or block betting,
Yeah.
probably just checking, and then but you are very clearly representing strength here, and it's what I really like about this actually, now that I think about it, I like it even more because when you check call that flop, what hand could you possibly have that on this run out
We talked
isn't
about
a
this.
decent hand?
It's
Yeah.
literally this is like the
It's a
only
9.
hand. Yeah,
It has to be a
exact.
9.
Yep.
Yeah. So the fact that like because you're folding if you had an under pair, you're folding,
Yep.
um, you wouldn't just float with, like, random low diamonds, like backdoor diamonds. So, like,
I probably
your straight
fold.
draws
If so let me ask you, if I didn't have the King of Hearts here, would you fold to a C bet? Like say I
to
had
his sizing, maybe, yeah.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I have to have like almost this specific
Yeah.
combo because I had the backdoor flush draw to go with it, which was more
Yeah, like,
enticing.
if he bets, like, quarter pot, you're calling any 9, but
Yeah,
not when he bets, like, 60% in
right.
this spot, probably
Yep.
just throwing it in the
Just
bin.
mucking it. Yep.
And, yeah, it's important to realize, like, any ace, any jack, any any straight draw you have, I guess 8, 7 of diamonds maybe didn't, but, like, that's one combo, or, like, 10, 7 suited, but your queen 10, queen 8, king queen, king 10, 10 8, all of it either made a queen or a straight, so that's better than a 9. So you having a 9 is, like, stone bottom of your range, and I think that's a great reason to bluff, you know?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, I really like this, and it's a lot of times it's very easy to miss spots like this because
We have showdown value.
we have what might feel like showdown value, but really
It didn't feel
isn't
like showdown
showdown
value,
value.
and that's why we went with it, right? Like I know, especially after his C bet sizing, like I'm beat here.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I actually, and just to finish this off here, I won the tournament.
no one cares.
So I shipped this. I shipped this for I want to say it was like 4,300 or something. Won that sweet, sweet Grizzly trophy. But you know what's more valuable than all of that, Wes?
I don't
What?
know, love, friendship,
No, none of that
memories.
matters. None of that matters. The
Okay.
best part was making sure that I locked up the leaderboard bet against you.
Yeah, I actually made a little push for it.
You did.
I had, yeah,
Wasn't
after
enough though.
my MSPT on Saturday and Sunday, I played on my phone, and I did have 2 eighths and a 10th place and feel like I kinda got robbed in a couple of them. But I
If
did
you
make
shipped one
some
of those, you
runs.
probably would have had the you would have had the chance to do it.
I know, but yeah, you've won at least 3 of those in a row now, and it's getting kinda disgraceful.
So Wes and I, because what's cool about, by the way, sign up to Clubs Poker. We're not global affiliates here, but we do play the series on here. And Wes and I like to have we like to have the leaderboard bets. So every time you cash, so you get points towards the leaderboard, and there's like a player of the series and all that stuff. Um, Wes and I have done 3 leaderboard bets in a row just to see who can finish highest on the leaderboard. And Wes, you've been scooped, my friend.
We can edit this part out, right? I mean, no one needs to know about this.
It feels really good. It feels really good. And you know what they say, like skill is shown over a sample size, like a large sample size, not over one tournament. And this is a sample size, my friend.
I don't have words. I mean, I don't have words.
Yeah, I thought. Anyways, back to the point. It seemed like a really cool spot to uh, to overbet bluff. And I'll be honest with you, I want to get better at finding these spots. This one just kind of came to me in the moment. Thankfully, it was more of just like an intuition type feel, or just I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like the right
Yeah.
play in the moment, so we went with it.
Yeah, and I think this is good too because I'm sure you, me, anyone out there can acknowledge, like, they found themselves in spots like this where if they're not, like, dialed in, they might just check, because it's like, "Oh, I have a 9, I probably lose, but
That's a
hopefully I
great point.
win."
Yeah, just being dialed in, not being on autopilot, like really taking a second to think a little deeper about it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
because I,
so
I mean,
I think
I say I bet like half pot here as a bluff. I'm just gonna get snapped off.
that too, yeah, like, you realized you had to polarize, you really had to it's like, you're thinking like, "Okay, what would I do if I had the flush here?
Yeah, yep.
I'm gonna bet huge and hope he has a jack and clicks call or
And I
something."
felt like our opponent was. I mean, you mentioned capped and uncapped. Like we should be uncapped and our opponent should be capped. He's. I mean, obviously there's room for he can have um, some nuts here, like pocket aces, like top boat and stuff like that. But
Yep.
it feels like he's mostly kind of capped here.
Yeah, I think I would say you have for sure the range advantage, and in terms of the like, he might have the literal nut advantage. I guess maybe you could have the straight
Watch he
flushes,
just
even though
jams over this
right,
river.
if he jams and you had a flush, I think you're folding the flush.
Yeah, I 100%
Um,
am. Yeah, especially
yeah,
after overbetting. Like when
yeah.
people, and there's something to be said about that too. When you overbet and then someone raises over the top of that, it's not
Ooh,
often a bluff.
yeah, that could be a separate episode because I mean, that's like really in the weeds where it doesn't happen much. But man, I think back, have I ever faced an overbet and then jammed as a bluff over it?
That's scary
That's
stuff.
tough to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's scary stuff because you're jamming into a range that should contain the nuts.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Maybe
but you
we'll
have like, yeah,
maybe we'll touch on that topic again sometime soon here.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and unshare this, but yeah, guys, overbet, we love it. And now, so that was an overbet bluff.
Mhm.
Um, I guess how do we can we talk about like when we should be overbetting for value then, or is it just going to be kind of the same thing?
It's the same spots, right? Because I think not I think, but in any spot, any bet size you use in a specific spot should contain mostly value and then a proportional amount of bluffs in terms of like how big. So like for example, if the bigger we bet, the more we can actually bluff with that size just because our opponent's getting a worse price and therefore should do more folding.
Yep.
And then if we're like block betting, that should be almost all value with a few airball bluffs. But in general, like yeah, if it's a spot where we overbet for value, it should also be a spot where we can end up overbet bluffing. That would be like the theoretically sound approach to strategy. Um, and
Let's
let
please.
me give an example. Go back to so if you guys remember, we quickly went through cutoff versus big blind, 10-8-5 king jack board where we went
Yep.
big bet, overbet river. We talked about the value, ace queen, queen nine suited, 9-7 suited. So our bluffs there would be stuff like the ace four suited, ace three suited, ace deuce suited that just completely misses. And those are tricky to do because like at no point do you have equity here, right? So I could see ace
The
highs
air
just giving
balls.
up at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But I think it's more about these are the hands we get here with that just don't have showdown value. And so it's not so much that like, oh, we're excited to overbet bluff here with ace high, but it's more just like in the long run, if we find ourselves only overbetting the value portion and then we're like, well, I'm bluffing. I want to bet big, but I also want to save a little for when they call me. Like, that's not good theoretical strategy. But if, again, especially in live poker, if we can get away with it, you be the judge of whatever situation you're in live poker. Like, you certainly could get away with that, I think, against a lot of players because
In
they're,
live for sure.
yeah, they're not really going to know the difference between what your range is going to be when you bet 80% versus 150. And honestly, even if you do it against me, like
A lot of
I'm
them don't
not
even know
giving
what a
up.
range is.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's, you know, when we're talking about these examples, a lot of times they're theoretical, but I think, you know, yeah, anytime you're overbetting for value, you should be aware in the back of your mind, like, okay, what would I bluff here for this size? Like that should be a good sort of way you get better by thinking about that sort of stuff.
I agree.
And same when you're bluffing, you want to think, what am I representing? Like, is this a credible story?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Should we recap kind of some takeaways from
Yes, let's do
overbetting?
that. So,
I think a good one to start with is, as you mentioned, us being uncapped versus our opponents being capped.
yeah. And that's the biggest one, I think, is when our range should contain hands that are the nuts and theirs will not, it puts them in a situation where even if they have a good hand, they are losing to our value. And so that means the bluffs are going to be pretty effective. And then when we have the nuts, it's like, yes, overbetting might get us called less frequently, but we make so much more when we do get called that it's still worth it in the long run.
And that's important to remember, right? Like people will overbet, and then if it's a good spot to overbet and they do it, but then they get folds and they're like, maybe I shouldn't have overbet. I should have just squeaked out value. But it's like, no,
Yeah.
if this works enough of the time, you're just going to make more money doing it this way.
Yeah. And I think it's a very easy, and this is a bit of a tangent, but I think super relevant. It's very easy to slip into that mindset trap where, oh, you bet big on the river and they folded and you're like, oh shoot, I should have gotten value. And it's like, well, if you were in this spot 100 times, this decision probably would have made you more chips, but maybe this time they just had a misdraw and had to fold any bet. or like, yeah, we aren't doing it because we think they're going to 100% call. It's because we want to try and get the most chips. And I think that that's what we have to remember is like, if you're betting a size on the river with the intention of, I want to guarantee that I get called, you're actually probably you're trying to get the minimum essentially.
Let me add that if you are playing live and you overbet a lot, you're going to start getting called wider as well. So kind of just keep that in mind.
Hmm.
Um, and then also, on top of talking about live, I think this is a great place for people to start implementing it. Is in these lower buy-ins early on for value specifically. Um, like, start over betting your top pairs slash over pair hands because people just aren't folding them. Be careful because you can value own yourself. It's like be careful your kicker, etc. Things like that. Like you don't want
Hmm.
to just start over betting second pair or top pair with shitty kickers. Like make sure that the range of hands that they're going to be calling with are going to be worse than yours.
Great point. Like, so on that 10-8-5 king jack board, if we have a hand like king 10 as the cutoff, we still want to bet river, but we don't want to overbet it, because the range that our opponent is supposed to call the huge overbet with mostly beats king 10.
Yeah,
And so but we still want to, and so maybe that's a hand we bet 70% with on the river.
I like it. I like it.
So, yeah,
Any
good
other
points.
any other things we need to talk about in
Yeah,
regards
the,
to
the
that?
main other thing was on top of the, you know, capped and uncapped thing, if we're on a flop and it's the sort of board where they are kind of capped and we have a hand, or like there are a lot of hands in our range that want to get a lot of chips in that are mostly value and then we'll work in bluffs, right? But that's another time to overbet with and we don't have to have a super nutted hand, but like on a like pocket jacks on 10-9-5 where they can't have flop to straight. They're not gonna have too much two pair. And it's like, sure, we can run into a set, but they're not they would have three bet all the bigger pocket pairs. So our hand is almost
And
always
we can
good,
just
but
start
like,
charging those tens and nines.
yep. Yeah, or if we have a 10 ourself, it's like they can have the king, queen, king, jack, queen, jack. They can have a nine. And it's like, okay, but we want to bet really big now. And like, of course, sometimes if they have a five without anything else going on, they'll fold that. And maybe we miss some value from some part of their range, but we get a lot more from a lot of their other stuff where we're able to where that more than makes up for the times they fold
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
we want action from.
This is kind of off topic, slightly on topic, but I think a cool way to look at your poker stack in a hand is to think of it as your bankroll that you need to invest into these different options. And then
Yeah.
and so each time you're putting chips in the middle, you're making an investment, right? So
Yeah.
like and like that this investment's going to pay off large if I put a lot into it, right? Whether it's getting them to
Yeah.
fold or getting paid by them. And just kind of think of and then think about like just think of it as an investment. And I think that can be one way to kind of get your head around making it a game rather than just playing. I'm really messing this up, but anyways, just think of it as a way to not be just plain just splash. You know what I mean? I can't really think of a better way to word that at this moment. My
Yeah.
brain is definitely melting right now.
No, it's okay. And yeah, it's like it is sort of a mini bankroll, right? Where it's like, we're more okay busting this bankroll than the real one, but
Yeah, yeah,
we're there are times when we want to just put it all in because this is the spot to do it in. But yeah, the more we put into it, the more that can come from it. So if it's a bluff, like the bigger the bluff, the more likely they should be to fold. Bigger the bet, the more value we can get.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, it doesn't. There's one of the most generic ideas I think in poker is like never trap yourself into trying to play too perfect because you don't know what their cards are. So like you can make a play that is perfect and it won't work out in that moment. And so if you overbet for value and they fold, don't be like, "Oh, I should have bet less." Be like, "Yeah, they're good. Of course they fold. Like I'm gonna."
So poker actually is an art.
It's a bit of both, you know. Like the GTO Wizard has something to say about it, but yeah, like you know, I think it is a bit of both, and
By the
um,
way, speaking of GTO Wizard, they just came out with that new multi-way solver.
mhm.
And we've done multi-way, you're burning money in these multi-way pots. We might have to revisit that with some new multi-way solving.
Yeah, we could do that. I know they already had some, but yeah, they do have a lot more now.
Well, there's like that new
There's
feature. What was it? It's like, I think it's node locking multi-way, where you can like tag each opponent as like this guy's sticky, this guy's loose
oh yeah,
aggressive. Yeah. Anyways, I saw a post. I don't know exactly. I haven't dived into it yet, but
Dovin, yeah.
yeah. Anyways, something we could maybe look into in the future. Any last things you wanted to discuss before we start wrapping up here?
Um, not particularly.
Okay. We do
Um,
have an awesome guest next week that I'm really looking forward to. Whether that
yep.
episode drops next week or not, I'm not too sure, but we will be recording with him. He's actually, I'm not going to drop his name yet, but he's a mindset coach as well as a high stakes professional. So really looking forward to getting him on. He actually was he like tried out for the I think it was the Navy SEALs if I remember correctly. So he's like
Okay.
a guy who deals with a lot of high pressure, and I think that probably is how he can handle playing high stakes poker, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so looking forward to picking his brain on just the mindset too. Like he's an absolute genius when it comes down. And I'll tell you what, we've had a lot of guests on this podcast, and never have I had to go through an assistant to get someone on. And this one I had to. So.
Oh, yeah, and it worked. I didn't even know that part of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've been working with his assistant to get this scheduled, and we have him booked for next week. So, looking forward to you guys checking that episode, guys. If you enjoy the Suited Kings podcast as much as we enjoy hosting it for you, please give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to it. Whether that's clicking the subscribe button, hitting the 5 stars, leaving a review, all of those things help us get to the top of the search engine when people search poker, strategy,
Yeah.
things like that. We
And
appreciate that.
from what I've heard, the follow, even on like Spotify, that actually helps the most.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, I'm not an expert.
Yeah. Well, click. We all know that, Wes, but click it all. Click all the things that can help support the pod. We appreciate it. Thanks for everyone, or thanks to everyone for coming out to the fish fry at Running Aces. Looking forward to that. If you guys haven't got your hands on any of that sweet, sweet Suited Kings merch, I'm sure you're starting to see it around because it's definitely making its rounds. A lot of people have them
Yeah,
now.
I saw some in Arizona. I mean, every stop I go to, it's
Yeah.
somewhere there for
Big
sure.
big shout out to our friends at Tilted Compass for partnering with us and doing a collaboration. If you guys are interested in getting some either Tilted Compass merch, which they have the best hoodies in the game, they have the best backpacks, the best shirts, all that good stuff. Make sure to check the link in the description and support them as well as us. Much appreciated that. We have our Discord going. If you aren't already in that, where have you been? It's blowing up. There's a lot of great conversations going on in there. And then as we get closer to the summer, it's a great place for people to start discussing WSOP plans.
Yeah, when
Whether
does that schedule? That usually comes out in February, doesn't it?
yeah, and yeah, sometime within the next month or two here. So we can expect that to come out soon. We will do another WSOP schedule breakdown as well as WSOP prep series this year, which I'm very much looking forward to. Yeah, so Discord, also Clubs Poker, guys. Every other week we have an online meetup game on Clubs Poker. If you sign up using the link in the description to the web to Clubs Poker, that helps support the podcast. We're very thankful to all those who play on Clubs and support us through that venture. It means a lot to us. Clubs is incredible. They have every single mixed game you can think of. I mean, that I'm aware of at least.
They
There's
do.
probably some on there. But you don't find that online. If you really want to cut your teeth playing low stakes, micro stakes, or even some mid to high stakes mixed games, check out Clubs Poker. They have all the craziest games on there. It's completely legit. There's absolutely, yeah, no bullshit. You know what I mean? So go
Yeah.
ahead and hop
There
on. Well, unless you're playing against me.
some of the states have made some regulations against sweeps coins. So unfortunately, there are some states out there where
I think
you
like
won't be able to access.
California, Nevada, maybe Michigan. There's a few of them where you can't play on
Yeah, the
clubs.
initial ones were like Washington, Idaho, Montana. I think were all
Okay.
off the board for a while, but yeah, there have been a few more recently. Maybe even New York.
Just
Um,
check out the website if you're
it'll
not already
it'll
on
tell
there.
you if
Yeah,
you
it'll
can't.
tell you
You know.
exactly. They use location services to see where you're at, and if you can't log in, that's why it'll tell you. So check out
Yeah,
Clubs
if
Poker.
you can't log in, you can just like
Send us your money.
send us a few thousand via Venmo. I mean, that's always
Our meetup
appreciated.
games are awesome, and typically it's our money going to your pocket. So make sure to make sure to check out our meetup games. Next one is
Yeah.
this next Tuesday, the Wes,
10th.
the
I
10th.
already had it lined up. I
Oh
was thinking the
man,
same
so
thing.
good, so good. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Wes's bankroll challenge. He's kind of back in the mix, firing it away. You had a
Yeah.
little rough week or two there, but you're still above 50K, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I had one big win, one big loss, and then some if like honestly, I have not been streaming as much. I haven't been like as pumped up about
You
it.
got to be
Um,
hungry. I get
yeah,
it. Yeah,
you
and
know,
take a
it's
break, Wes.
yeah. I mean,
It's
I did. I
but then
took a
you were
2.5.
hungry for a little bit again after that. It's funny how that
I
works.
was, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing where ironically it has been like exactly a year now since I started. And obviously I've pretty much only streamed for about half that time. So
Mhm.
whatever.
It's cool to see that what you've developed, though. I mean, I see when I can come in there, sometimes you have a ton of people watching, people cheering you on, a lot of subscribers and stuff like that. So if you get back to it, you get back to it. If not, I completely understand. It definitely has been a fun ride so far. Is there anything else I'm missing? I ask this every episode, I'm pretty sure. I think I
Um,
landed them all.
I think you landed them all.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Let's uh let's wrap it up then. Should
Yeah.
we anything else profound that we need to say?
Oh, there's an insult buried in there somewhere, but I'll leave that buried. So,
You're all disgusting nits.
oh yeah, good luck at the cheap and deep, guys. If you're in Minnesota playing this weekend at
Mm,
Canterbury, they got the cheap and deep. I do not believe I will have time to make it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I actually am not playing in it either.
Really?
Um I have plans on Saturday and day 2 is on Saturday because they don't wanna have it overlap with the Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl. Yeah, that makes
So,
sense. Okay. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. Go do some over betting. Let us know how it worked for you. I want to see some hand histories in the either episode feedback, general chat in the Discord. Let's see some over betting. Let's see
yeah.
some of what you got, and we'll catch you guys next week with another episode